Paul Leon here. I wanted to take my hat off for a moment and speak directly to you, the listener or watcher of our show here at The Manager's Mic, and say thank you so much for being a consumer of the show. And I want to take our relationship a step further. When you join our newsletter at themanagersmic.com website, I'm going to give you a free resource called A Selling Script to Skyrocket Sales. Thank you so much for being a listener and watcher of the show. Now back to the episode. Emily Green, you have extensive experience in marketing, public relations, and business development. And in studying your LinkedIn, I've had the opportunity to also learn that you're a lead strategist that drives both visibility and revenue as the founder of Grace Communications, a national marketing agency acquired in 2024.
Mhm.
And you work with clients across industries to grow their brands through strategic storytelling, digital marketing, events, and partnerships. And what I love about you is today you're working through organizations to strengthen their visibility, refine their messaging, and create marketing strategies that actually connect and convert. You're the founder of Love Means Business, a growing global community and platform designed to help leaders turn their ideas into impact through speaking, media, and thought leadership. As the host also of a podcast called Love Means Business, which I'll put in the show notes, and I encourage listeners to please check that out. Follow the podcast, Love Means Business. Emily, what didn't I cover about you that's important for people to know?
I just want to make sure it's clear that I sold my marketing agency, Grace Communications, in 2024. Sometimes people still think that I am running that, but I did sell that. So I no longer own that agency, but I could not have Love Means Business and everything I do now without having run that. So it taught me everything, a lot of the things that I use now. Besides work and all of the amazing things you just said, I'm also a wife, I'm a mom, and I am a pet enthusiast. I would have all the pets if we didn't have an HOA and restrictions. So maybe that's a good thing that we have that.
I'll say, what kind of pet or animal do you have currently? Just out of curiosity.
So we have 2 cats and 2 dogs, and I really wanna get chickens again. We used to have chickens and ducks before we moved, but again, HOA won't allow it, but we're working on it, so
Darn those people trying to keep houses
I
nice
know,
and
right?
safe.
Right?
So I think you brought up something really important that's important to your core story, that you sold a business. You
Yes.
sold your marketing agencies. What were some key lessons or frameworks or things that came out of that experience for you, Emily, that brought you to where you're at today as a successful entrepreneur?
I think communication, that's gonna sound cliche, but communication with your clients, with your team is so important through that transition process. When you're in the middle of selling your agency and you're going through all the legal steps of that process. Other than that, I feel like everything else went great, but every sale there is complications. Just like every time you sell a house, there's complication. Anyone thinking about doing that, just know there's no perfect sale. There's always going to be something that happens. You really have to be prepared for that. The other thing I would say, if you're wanting to sell your business and you're not sure if you're ready or you don't know what to do to get your business ready to sell, there are a few things that I learned a year or two before I actually sold it and I started putting into place that made my business sellable. Grace Communications was created to really bridge 2 things. So sometimes people don't really understand what when I say a marketing agency, like what that even is.
Right.
We focused on public relations, event planning, and social media. Those were our 3 main services. I My differentiating factor was I combined my love for philanthropy, giving back, making the world a better place with marketing. So our whole thing was, we're Grace Communications, we do things gracefully. One of the things that was a differentiating factor for us when I was selling my business or up for sale and attracted the buyer that we did was that I had several national clients, not just
Mm.
local small clients that we had grown with over 5 to 6 years. We were able to really make an impact and work with these amazing companies in all different sizes that were doing great things in the world. As far as case studies, I mean, we had we had clients, from animal hospitals to pet cremation services, national client
Right.
to Kimco Realty. They are almost $1 billion company. We helped
Huh.
with events, social media, and PR for several of their properties all over the US. Passionate Paws Animal Hospital was one of my first clients. And I met them actually through a corporate position that I had before I started my business. And we ended up getting chosen to help with a small festival called Pups and Pints,
Hmm.
helped launch like other platforms like YouTube and some of these other channels they hadn't been on, and actually went from 0 to like 10,000 subscribers in about a year and a half, which is pretty hard to
Oh,
do
wow.
on
That's really
YouTube.
hard. Yeah.
It was really, really fun and really rewarding for me to get aligned with these clients from almost the first, 3, 5 months of starting the business and growing with them all the way till the end. I was able to expand what services we offered, expand my team, and just grow with not a large amount of clients, just the right clients that we were a good fit with.
I like that. I think a lot of mistakes I'm guilty of is not defining the right avatar of who you serve. At least I've been guilty of making that mistake, at least me personally. What other mistakes do you feel you didn't know when you first started that you found out that you overcome to be able to attract those national clients as you grew? What were other skills and competencies you're like that you had, but like you really had to level up further to attract more people to you?
I think that you have to think of your business as a brand too. And it's actually hard as a marketing agency to think that way because we're always thinking about the branding of everyone else. So you can easily forget that you are a brand too. Your agency has to have their own vibe. I hadn't even defined our core values, our mission. I did like an employee handbook. Like I did all of that about year 3 or 4. Um, because I realized one day I'm doing this for all these other clients and I actually haven't done it for us. And that was a big game changer, really focusing on the culture of the agency and that yes, we are helping all these other brands and helping them with their voice, but we have a voice too. That's our actual identity. And then we're putting on these other identities when we help the other clients. That can be really hard. And almost every marketing agency founder leader that I've ever talked to struggles with that because you do give so much of your creativity and so much of that part to helping your clients that it can be really hard to actually then have anything left for your own marketing and your own brand.
Did you want more work-life balance? Is why we said to say goodbye to the business some more, or was it just that you wanted something different? Because I like Love Means Business a lot. I'm just kind of curious how you knew that transition needed to happen. Like, what were your signals?
When I first started my agency, I didn't ever think about selling it. I didn't even know that people sold businesses. So that wasn't even in my head. I really was like, okay, this is going to be my legacy. I'm going to pass it on to my daughter or whatever. But as I got into it, and I started doing a lot more public speaking, and I originally started doing that for leads and to grow the visibility, like I talk about in Love Meets Business. And it just became its own thing. And I started getting booked so much doing that that I started to feel like a shift. Okay, this feels like another business altogether in a lot of
Right.
ways. And so that was part of it. When we got to where we had a presence in 10 different states with my agency, I also was like, okay, either I have to take a big step back and I'm going to have to hire someone to start taking over a lot of the stuff that I'm doing and or I need to sell or something because I cannot pursue this thought leadership and the speaking and all of that and be a good mom and we're expanding our family, and we're doing all and having that energy to be all these different things. So I knew I had to make a decision. Let's just see if I can sell it. I don't even know if I can. And I had tried a couple different things to insert leadership a little bit to take some of those off of my plate at the same time as seeing if I could sell it and it didn't really work how I wanted it to, the other part too. So that helped with the decisions. But you have to be real. You have to be realistic. And for me, as much as I love having success in business and I love what I do, My personal life, my husband, our home life, our personal life is precious to me. I always want to make sure that I have enough for that and what I'm doing. I knew I couldn't do both. And I had enough traction with the other stuff, with the speaking, with people wanting me to help them on a consulting basis, like what I do with the visibility coaching, that I felt like I already had the foundation for a whole other business. Now, some would argue, Emily, you could have started that before you sold your agency.
Right.
Yeah, I could have. But again, you only have so much time. And I did not even have this community idea in my head then, it hadn't even been born. That's a whole nother story. Everything with Love Means Business was like this, went to this, and this. It was like this whole one thing led to another.
Hmm. Are you comfortable if I ask you? I think one of the challenges, and I'm gonna. I am not technically qualified to go here, but I'm gonna try something. So I'll frame it
Okay.
from a conversation as if like you're at the dinner table with my wife and I. One of the things we'll discuss is it's hard for women in business because there's a lot of expectations. And she'll coach me on this. I think we first got married like 10 years ago, I'm like, nah, and then she's like, you know what? And then and then we go down that rabbit hole.
That's funny.
But I'm kind of curious because I think what you're a very professional, you're a very astute woman. So I'm kind of going to challenge you a little with a question on if you were talking to what women need to do in business to level up and what they need to protect and stay strong. I was wondering if we could kind of there so I can better understand that conversation that my wife would sometimes will have, like the challenges women have in business and their professional brand that
Mhm.
maybe men need to be more aware of, that need to be better suited. So women can have more opportunity, number one, and number two, we could respect them more in the workplace because I feel personally that women, in my experience, are more professional than men a lot of the time. So I'm
Sure.
throwing you a curveball here. So I was wondering if you're comfortable going down that
Yeah.
path with me.
Well, that's funny you say that because my husband doesn't think that. So we've gotten into but he's in like a totally male dominated industry. There's like hardly any women that he even works with. He always complains about how women are too dramatic and they're not professional. And I'm like, well, men can be dramatic too. I have lots of examples of that. So
Yeah,
um I think yeah, I'm
I
like,
could be
he can
dramatic.
be too, honestly. So I think that, how do I say this? I'm just going to be direct. I think that
Sure.
women, number one, can't have a victim mentality.
Right.
You cannot go into it assuming that men are out to get you and that they're all trying to like talk down to you or you're not going to be treated fair or any of that. So always go into it with an open mind because I think sometimes if you don't, you're actually creating a hostile environment because you're being negative and you're almost like making it happen. Having
Mm,
said that, you have to make sure that you are assertive. You have to really walk this tightrope when you're a woman of being assertive, but not being so assertive that you're seen as, the bad word,
yeah,
that
I'm
that
with
we
you.
get called. And so that's hard because I don't think that is one thing I don't think men have to worry as much about. But I also think there's a power to being a woman. If you can use that strategically too, you can really level up the playing field because and this is where feminists might be like, okay, get her off your podcast, but I personally love it when men open doors for me and they do stuff like that, that if you really want to argue isn't being very feminist. Like that's
Right.
basically saying I can't open doors for myself. But there are some societal things that are still in place that like I enjoy the benefits of being a woman. Now, when people cross the line, when they're disrespectful, regardless of your gender, that's
Mm,
unacceptable. And I have had that happen. I've had men, women can honestly be worse than men of
mm,
being very disrespectful and belittling. And I think that's where women sometimes have to overcompensate and really just show your worth. Don't be afraid to speak up. I've never been afraid to do that. Um, I've had to put people in their place a lot of times. They underestimate me. I'm a small person, like I'm only 5'3". I'm a woman, people think I'm younger than I am a lot of times, and they just
right.
automatically assume things about me that aren't true. Used to get mad about that. Now I'm like, they'll see. Just wait. They'll see.
I love that. And are you comfortable sharing kind of a niche experience?
I think I told you about one of the bosses I had, my
Yeah.
last position before I started my first business. And she was terrible. She was awful to me. She's always just saying belittling things. I shouldn't say it was just me though. It was everyone. So I guess I didn't
Right.
feel too called out. But she especially had issues with me to the point where she would not even have me on in meetings or on calls because she didn't want me to get exposure with
Ugh.
upper upper leadership. And just saying like, "Oh, I lived in New York City. I worked in New York City. You're from the country because I grew up in the country in Missouri. Like, you'd never make it in New York City." Not, and she really had no idea. I had done commercials.
Mm,
Arguably, I had done way more things that were scary and hard than she had. But she
mm.
just made it a point of always saying little things to like try to make me feel bad. And
Yeah.
I honestly ended up thinking it was sad and almost funny sometimes because she was trying so hard. But
Ugh.
women like that really set us back. They really do because they don't support other women because they're so insecure and she only cared about herself and her career and wanted no one around her that would challenge her or potentially be like what she considered a threat. I don't even know if that was because she was female or just her personality. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
an
I'm with you.
example. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember when we had that phone call before we decided to do a podcast together, and I'll share so everybody knows. One of the things Emily and I connected on was I had an experience where my manager, I told you all about that,
Yeah.
and for those 2 years, it was a female boss who would just say things to me like, "Hey, can you do me a favor?" Or this is the one that always makes me laugh now, but at the time it was annoying. I think I shared this with you, Emily, where she was in a meeting. She goes, "I don't know how to explain this, but can you fix your face in meetings?" And I was like, What?" And I was like,
Like, this is my face. What do you mean?
How do I do that? Like that was, and it was just like very vindictive, very nasty feedback. And I don't know if it's a male thing. It is sad when it happens, and I do invite your feelings. You also said something I'm just curious about. You said, and I'm going to go a little personal. You said you're expanding your family. I just want to say
Thank
congratulations.
you.
I didn't know what that statement meant though. And if you don't
Sure.
want to go there, we don't have to go there.
Oh, we can
I was
go
just
there.
curious. Yeah.
Yeah, we're adopting, so we're in the adoption
Oh,
process. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. We're very excited.
Okay. That's a hard process.
Yeah,
Adopt. I don't know personally from experience, but a lot of couple friends my wife and I have, it's just a very
it
emotionally
is. Yeah.
challenging thing. So I do. Where are you at? Are you feel like you're on the finish line, or is it kind of like
I don't know how
curiosity?
to answer that because everyone's different. I think we probably have a bit to go, but we are
I'm with
approved
you.
with our home study, so that's exciting. And so now
Good.
we're hopefully about to start with our placement agency. So that's kind of where we're at. But placement can take 6 months, it can take 4 years. So it's a wide range of time. Yeah.
Well, I pray that that goes as swimmingly as
Thank you.
possible, and whatever challenges you and your husband and family and 2 dogs and 2 cats will have a hard, good
Yes,
time
and our
overcoming.
11-year-old daughter, so she's excited to add the
Yeah,
addition, so
good. Well, I'm rooting for you.
thank you.
I do wanna talk about Love Means Business
Yep.
since we kinda gonna transition to that, and I I actually, you don't know this, but I actually looked at 50 different communities online. I always feel like a lot of communities have like an underhanded thing where there's something under the table. I have trust issues.
Yep, me too. Me too. We can definitely talk about this because yes.
Yeah. And when I first heard your name, because it's a very unconventional name, and I think like, I feel like there's probably a critic who would probably see that and maybe have negative thoughts, but I want to talk to that critic real quick, and then I want Emily to take over this part because she's
Okay.
obviously the owner of Love Means Business. In studying 50 communities and being approached, I am very happy with the investment so far. And I want for somebody who doesn't know what Love Means Business is, if you could speak to the value prop
Sure.
of it, if somebody's considering an online community to join, what value they can get out of
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
because I don't want to take that from you, if that's fair.
That's more than fair. And I feel like I just want to also say that I didn't ask him to say that. So that's awesome that you looked at 50
Yep.
communities.
She's
And
totally free, no money. She didn't give me any
honestly,
money.
I was one of those people that used to roll my eyes every time I saw someone announce that they were launching a community. I'm like, I'm sure they're going to be a coach now too. Because I feel like everyone and their brother was, I'm gonna be a coach and I'm gonna open my community. And so I never, ever, ever was like, I want to have a community. But
Right.
what happened is that I had so many people coming to me asking me for, to be honest, free advice about like, how do I get booked for this? Can I pick your brain about this? Can I do this? Can I do that? And I always say, listen to what people come to you for unsolicited. Listen to
Mm,
that. Really do. And I say listen, I mean like in your DMs, in your all, whatever. Pay attention to that because that is your perceived value and that is where your next business could be or your next big thing could be. I kept getting that. And I would complain to my husband, like, here's another person that just picked my brain for an hour for free. I mean, I don't mind doing that, but it gets to where you're kind of like, okay, I got to figure out a way to create something where I can do this on a bigger scale too, because it's
right.
exhausting to do that over and over and over again. I started with my newsletter on LinkedIn and I started sharing opportunities every single week for speaking, for media, with events, that sort of thing. That grew really fast for me. I have over a
Mm.
thousand subscribers in a month. And that for me
Oh,
was
wow.
that was a lot of growth. And so then that's where I was like, okay, I feel like that's telling me that there's more need than this. And so I was like, how can I combine my event experience with this need that people have of wanting me to help them get booked? And I can't do that. I have a non-compete. I cannot actually book people because of selling my agency.
Yeah,
So
I'm with you.
yeah. So I was like, okay, well, so I started looking into options. And then that's where I found Thinkific, which hosts my community. And I just had the idea of how about I combine a traditional networking type thing with a PR agency in a way. So that's really what I tried to do. And my
Yeah.
ultimate vision for it is to be its own medium. You can sign up for different platforms that will show you speaking engagements. You can sign up for different things that will get you media opportunities, podcasts. You can be
Yep.
part of chambers that do networking. But having all of that in one spot is, in my opinion, incredibly valuable. And also having that focus really be on visibility and really be about like practically getting you booked and paid. That's
Yeah,
really where my heart is. I'm not doing this community to post effing motivational memes.
yeah,
Like, it's not
I'm
about
with you.
that. I want to see people get booked and grow. And so
Yeah,
I'm focused on that. We post every single day 3 to 5 different opportunities for speaking engagements, podcasts, and media opportunities you can apply to. And we host 2 events a month virtually, so you can attend from anywhere that are educational and have that networking aspect. The other thing that I do is I celebrate the wins. So we do that every single connections event. We have the first part of it where we celebrate all the member wins. And then
yeah.
I do that on social media as well to really show people these are the things people are getting booked for or the collaborations that are coming directly from this community.
I'm a very slow buyer, Emily, and somebody who maybe knew things, I'm probably gonna be full of it. But for those who have more intimate relationships, Paul, I'm the guy who like, is this guy ever gonna buy a car person? He's done so much research. Just because like
Yeah.
I don't want to get to I just been taking for a ride. I heard about your group from several podcast guests because I kept what happened, just for more context for those who want some backstory further. And this, I feel like this is gonna be like the rest is gonna be like a plug for Love Means
I
Business,
know
but
it's not. I don't want it to seem
no,
like
no, no. But
that.
I just want to be real. But like, and this is the cool thing about podcasting for those who may want to go into it. Kind of like you said earlier, like look at your DMs, look at a trend, and
Yeah.
then maybe your
Yeah.
next opportunity. So this is
Yeah.
kind of like that frame. Everybody kept like coming to me all of a sudden. I was like, where are these people coming from? Oh, you got to hear about this Love Means Business. I got speaking and training opportunities. I was like, what are you guys talking about? So this
Yeah.
happened for like 6 months. Let me just ask who is behind
Yeah.
this. And that's how we connected. So it's a really good group. I'll put a link for those who are considering a credible community with people who actually care.
Yeah.
I do feel, and it's just like anything else, you have to put the time in. And I'm saying
Yeah.
I'm guilty that I need to do it more and myself, just being real with
Yeah.
everyone out there. I do have a question because you said your LinkedIn grew really quickly. My assumption is that comes from the way you approach content and the way you write is a skill you've leveled up. Without giving away the farm, could you give me some key insights into how you approach writing content, how you approach that LinkedIn newsletter? Maybe some tips of writing, like, hey,
Yeah.
here's what I think about, here's my thought process. Let's walk through that, like, because that is something I need to work on the next 18 months. And I think a lot of people do, is how to approach that writing skill to attract the right person. I was wondering if you could peel the onion there because I was very curious.
The big thing is it's not about you. You have your goals, like whether it's I want to grow my podcast numbers or I want to grow membership from my community. You need to identify what are your actual business goals. And
Right.
social media is a way to help you achieve that. But what you cannot do, what I see people do, is that they go straight at it very aggressively, like all about them. It's just
Right.
every post is about them, or every post is just a blatant selling thing about whatever it is that they're trying to grow. What
Right.
I do, what I've helped my clients do, is I make it about other people. Through the other people, it does sell what I'm trying to do. You found out about me through other people. That's
Yeah.
way more credible and way more appealing than if I cold called you or emailed you or pitch slapped you, as we say, and was like, hey, you should sign up for my community. Well, I don't think so. That's kind of creepy. But if
Right.
6 different people tell you that you wanted to talk to, or they came to you because I featured your podcast in my community, that is way more compelling. On
Yeah.
LinkedIn, with my newsletter, I could have done an article every week or a newsletter every week that I wrote that was just my thoughts, my rambling thoughts. No
Right.
offense, but those are so many people's newsletters. No one
Right.
reads that. No one cares about it. Because why?
Hmm.
It's not about them. It's about your thoughts, your passions. What I
Right.
do in my newsletter is I feature someone and or their business or event in every section. I do have an overarching
Hmm.
theme, but there could be 10 people that are tagged and featured in every single thing. That's going
Right.
to reach a lot more people and it gives them a reason to read it, share it, engage. So if you're
Hmm.
struggling with your writing, if you're struggling with engagement, create community with your posts. Don't,
Hmm.
create community. And if you start doing that, if you find a way to include other people and other things that are taggable, that are shareable, it's going to help you a lot.
How did you first learn that? Did you always have that instinct, or is it because of just your journey of selling that marketing agencies where you kind of figured that out? Because my assumption, and I'm not saying this to like be like, haha, got ya.
Yeah.
My assumption is these are mistakes you made earlier.
Yeah.
And then later, I know for me, I'm a slow learner. Like I just got my MBA finally, but whatever.
No, don't say it like that. Congratulations. That's a
No,
good
yeah.
accomplishment. Congratulations. That's
No, I
awesome.
appreciate your enthusiasm. I don't think I've had a guest clap their hands in so it's such a long time. Hooray!
No,
But
seriously, a lot of people don't finish, especially when you're working and you got everything else going on. That's really hard. So good job.
yeah, it was, and it means a lot to me. Thank you. Um, Still got to tell my mom. So, but she doesn't listen to my podcast, so I'll just have to call her, text her.
Yeah,
But
just she'll be excited.
But I'm curious, like, how you kind of like figured it out. Was it just in the beginning where you're not getting traction at a certain point in your career and you're like, this sucks. I need to like figure this out. Like, what were something that you're like, okay, or was there like a training you went to? Just curious
I
to
think
peel the onion there.
I definitely have a leg up on other people because of running my agency, and even before that, when
Fair.
I was at Simon Property Group, which was my longest corporate position, I had that for like 7 years. I had leadership roles with social media and digital marketing within that
Hmm.
company. I definitely saw what worked and didn't work with the agency and the clients where we managed their LinkedIn. We would try things and it would work or it wouldn't. So I definitely tested some things out that way, but I also gauge it off of my preference. What are the things I enjoy? Who are the people that I'm attracted to or I gravitate to? in the businesses that I do. And they're creating community. And I don't know how else to say it. When you create
Yeah, I'm with you.
community with your content, with your writing, you're inviting people in to a world and you make them feel included. You make them feel like maybe they're even writing about you, or maybe they are. Maybe they
Yeah.
are featuring you. Sometimes seems counterintuitive to people because, well, no, I'm trying to grow my thing. I'm trying to talk about myself and my brand. So why would I feature somebody else? But
Hmm.
that's where the magic happens. You have to figure out a way to have your own vibe, but still include other people. Let me give you some high level examples of that. The
Yeah, please do.
Kardashians, okay? People hate them, whatever. They're billionaires.
Right.
They've said in interviews, one of the fastest ways they've grown their businesses are through collaborations and partnerships. They're always doing
Mm.
partnerships. Think about it like that. How can you, it doesn't have to be with Pepsi or something, some huge
Right.
company, but every time you collaborate and partner, just like we're doing right now, we're partnering on this podcast. It's a collaboration. You're
Yeah.
increasing your reach, you're increasing your brand. If you can do that with posts, with your writing, it's really going to help your reach.
I think for me, when I started the journey of podcasting, I didn't know where it was going to go. Part of the reason was to document who I would be prior, post MBA. I knew if I just kept doing a volume of work that something would happen, number one. And two, the worst case scenario was I could reference my younger self and see where I was and
Sure.
learn from where
Yeah.
I was. And with that frame, I want to challenge you with a question. If you could go back in time, I like to ask this question. I think you know what's coming, and talk to younger Emily. You could pick any point in time, but here are your guardrails, Emily. You can't tell your younger self it's you, number one. You can't tell your younger self it's you from the future.
Yeah.
What would you tell yourself to convince yourself to do certain things now so you can save all these years of mistakes, and you could say whatever you want to your younger self, but you can't tell them it's you? What would you say to yourself?
I hope not everyone says this, but I wouldn't really change anything because I even with my last corporate position, it was unfortunate that it got eliminated 8 months in, but if it hadn't
Hmm.
happened, I wouldn't have started my agency, and I'm not sure I would have met my husband because I met him around that same time. I think if I could tell myself anything, it actually wouldn't be about my career at all. It would be, "Hey, it's okay. All these all these dating stuff isn't working out for you. Don't take it so hard. You're going to meet someone." Cuz I that was the part that I think if I could go back. I know that's not what this is about, but
It's
my
okay.
career, I would honestly not change anything because everything led one thing to another. And I even the bad stuff, I learned so much from it. My personal life, I probably wouldn't change any of that either, just because I learned and I really appreciate my husband because of some of the things I went through. But I would want to just like weirdly give myself a hug or somehow let myself know, don't worry so much about these things not working out. It's going to be okay.
You've mentioned your husband a few times. What does it take to make a relationship thrive while running a business? Certain key things, because I think 90% of happiness comes from who you decide to be with under your
Oh,
roof.
absolutely. Yeah.
And I believe in that. I'm curious if you have some insight since you have a family, you're adopting, you very successful entrepreneur, and you have good relationships. Or we could kind of go there, and speak to what your husband does to help you feel supported, feel loved, so that
Yeah.
you can thrive in your career. And that's important for men to hear as well.
I mean, I think he just accepts me for me. He doesn't try to change me. He just supports me in whatever I say, whatever I want to do. But when we first started dating, we'd only been dating 3 or 4 months, and my position was eliminated in that my last corporate position. That wasn't that long into dating, and I remember him saying, "I got you. I got your back." Because I
Mhm.
wasn't sure what to do. I didn't know if I'd have to relocate again. Because previously I had relocated every time I got a promotion, every time I got a job, I just would relocate. And
Right.
not to get too TMI, but
It's okay.
he was married before. My daughter is my stepdaughter. And so I can't move anymore because of custody. We can't move. So I
Right.
was kind of freaking out. I was like, what am I going to do? It's always been my thing is I was open to moving anywhere to get a good position. And I told
Right.
him I have people saying I should start my own business, but I'm not sure I'm ready. And he was like, I got you. Whatever. He's like, if you want to do that, I got you. If you want to do this, I got you, but I got you. And that to me was just like, wow, just to have someone who's just in your corner, who believes in you and supports you and was your cheerleader and all of that. And I think women, we're taught from a very young age to support men, and so getting into the gender roles, but we
Yeah.
naturally are very supportive. Most women are, but a lot of times when women don't feel that same support with our professional path. So I think with him just doing that, it's been huge for me. And we're a team. We are a true team. And I think that sometimes you lose your way with that with your partner. I support him. He does racing. He does all these crazy hobbies. And I always make time to go watch him and support him with that. My hobby is my business. I make money off of it, but that's my thing. And so he knows how important it is to me.
Been married, a good time too, but I have always believed in supporting your partner. I know my wife, she got 2 career opportunities back to back. We had to move. Similar, and since you went TMI, I'm going to give you some TMI so you don't feel left out.
Thanks.
Moving twice was very emotionally hard. I
Yeah.
hate, I'm not anybody likes moving. I hate it. But I remember telling Trisha, my wife, whatever it takes to make you happy, I'll do it. So I hope
Yeah.
you and your husband, I pray for your guys' success relationship because, that's very, very important. What is something we haven't talked about that you feel is important?
Don't be afraid to be vulnerable when you're working on your visibility, when you're sharing things, whether that's through speaking or through your writing and your social media. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Having said that, be strategically vulnerable. Don't share just because you can. Share to further the conversation, share to connect, share in a way that actually adds or enhances to the value of whatever it is that you're talking about. I think that is a game changer, and connecting and creating that community is being open to sharing things that sometimes you think maybe aren't on brand or are too personal.